E ngā iwi tēnā koutou, good evening. The bonfire of the policies has grown into a towering inferno as Chris Hipkins refocuses his government on the cost of living. Transport projects were first to be chucked on, beginning with the plan to cut state highway speed limits. The cash for clunkers scheme has been scrapped, and with it, a plan to reduce car trips by 20%. Auckland Light Rail survived, but will be phased in. A planned container return scheme to encourage recycling has been shelved. The government's also decided not to give 16-year-olds the vote in general elections. And plans to reform alcohol laws around sponsorship have been delayed. All that will save just over $1 billion to be pumped back into Kiwis' back pockets. Here's political editor Jenna Lynch.
Down with delicate extrication, Chris Hipkins is taken to excavation, digging out what's left of Jacinda Ardern's pet projects as he looks to free up cash for the cost of living and cyclone response.
We might be narrowing down the number of things that we do and doing the things that we are going to do more thoroughly and better.
Ironically, as he frequently casts his eye over the climate wreckage of Gabrielle, he's creating his own wreckage of policies designed to mitigate climate change.
Climate policies that we're talking about today would have made a very small contribution to our overall emissions reductions targets.
The Cash for Clunkers scheme that would have paid up to $10,000 to people to wreck their old gas guzzler and replace it with an EV is off to the policy chop shop. Worth $500 million, it was money announced as part of the government's first ever climate budget. Now that money isn't going toward climate mitigation at all.
If we had more Green MPs, this would not have happened.
Greenpeace is really horrified at the direction that the new Prime Minister, Chris Hipkins, is taking this country and taking the environment.
Our emissions reduction targets have not changed.
Just insert a bottle or can and off you go.
The environment just did not stop losing today. A container return scheme which would have paid people for recycling drink bottles and cans thrown in the trash for now.
It's also estimated to add small additional costs to households, and we don't want to be imposing those additional costs right at the moment.
And the kids that care about the environment, their future, just lost the shot to have a vote on it. The government's vote on the voting age, keep it 18, though they will allow for local council elections to make it 16.
Our message to government is that this is urgent. They think they can stall on a human rights issue, which just isn't good enough.
I'll be clear, I support a lower voting age, the age of 16. There isn't a parliamentary majority for that, so I don't intend to progress a bill that's doomed to fail.
66 people have died on New Zealand roads so far this year, but the government's plan to make our roads safer hitting a Chris Hipkins roadblock. The plan to lower speed limits, no longer a government priority. It's decided to focus on the 1% of our state highway network that's responsible for the most injuries and deaths, and lowering speed limits around schools and marae.
It's a bit of common sense though, isn't it?
Because the people who cause the problems aren't the ones who are going to be following the speed limit. People often will go under if they feel like they need to anyways.
Thanks everybody.
The Prime Minister's policy incinerator working overtime.